Oh, welcome back to Pirate Talk Radio. I'm your host, Davram, and all I want to do is splash mags with water buckets. Let's be honest. Give a little splishy splash to the baby sharky sharks. That's all I want to do anymore. That's just life. That's just what I want to do. Welcome to the second part of our Sea of Thieves Season 15 review. Been able to play Season 15 for several sessions. As far as the new content that was released, I think this is one of the best seasons. As far as content, let's be real clear about that. Content that they've done in a long while. Though that doesn't say much considering the shit show that has been server stability in the past few sessions, along with the horrific launch which required 2 emergency maintenances to fix. The journey into Season 15, the awesome new content, actually started prior to Season 15's launch. If you all remember back a few weeks ago, we had a new voyage, a new raid voyage that we all were able to embark on for a limited time. The Fortress raids were one of the best ideas Rare has implemented in a long time. With a game suffering from so many assets in the sandbox, reutilizing these assets, Spanish forts and ghost fleets, allowed them to put a new interesting voyage utilizing the same assets with multiple phases requiring both naval and pirate weapon play. This was outstanding. This was out of the box thinking. This was smart development. This was exactly what I've been asking for and talking about for a very long time that Rare needs to do. Smart, good, intelligent development that keeps the game as stable as it is, while they can still work on other stability. Combining these 2 existing world events / voyages together into one new interesting voyage was chef's kiss. This is the Rare that I want to see going forward. This small drop in the bucket, limited time event is exactly what I want to see them doing in the future. With the game suffering with server stability, with Season 14 lack of content, this was the nice little that the game needed in a really bad time to get players excited and doing something and into the game to get ready for what is coming next and what we'll talk about in a few minutes. This feature that made Sea Fort so much more interesting, and the fact that they made these limited, though, was a huge disappointment. I tuned into several Sea of Thieves partnered streamers who were interacting with this new content, and the feedback was overwhelmingly across all of them and the friends that also play that I talked to, that this should be a permanent voyage. There was no reason to make this limited. No, I do not believe, before you ask or blow my email up, that this should replace the current Ghost Fleet or Fort voyages. Absolutely not. You should still be able to do Ghost Fleets by themselves. You should still be able to do forts by themselves. But you should now also be able to do this new raid voyage if you want. Players who have short amount of times to play, 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes, should still have the ability for a quick loot, a quick feeling of accomplishment that the forts give, the Spanish forts. The ghost fleets, they take a little bit more time to kill all the waves. If you want to maximize your loot, you have to kill all the captains and things like that before you end it. So that one takes a little bit longer. But if you want to get a quick session in, a quick sail before you go to work, before you go to the gym, before you go have dinner, before you spend time with your family, before you get laid. This is the way you do it. You go do a fort, right? But for those players who have a little bit more time, or just to add to the monotony of hunting megs or fishing or skeletal forts or ashen winds or PvPing, the raid on the Spanish forts with both aspects is exactly the little zhuzh that you need during a play session. This offers a little bit more of a challenge, right? You have to do the Spanish fort. Then you have to switch to naval. Then you have to come back and do the Spanish fort. It adds a little bit of interest. It adds a little bit of risk for those players who might not be that great at naval or might not be great at weapon play. Either way. Or maybe you're mediocre at both. The fact that you have to basically, if you're a solo player, park your ship, do the fort, get back in your ship, get going before you get blasted by wraith balls, kill the ships out there, come back to the Spanish fort. It just adds more interest, and you don't have to go far to do it. You don't have to sail from world event to world event, sometimes forts having you to cross the entire map in order to get some interesting and fun PvE content. This allowed you to do everything in one place, get a little bit of both, and move on. And it had a decent amount of rewards. This was a great opportunity for Rare to add a cool and fun new voyage for players while not adding more stress strain assets to the server. If these were in game, I know I would be doing these every single play session to this day. Even with the Megs, even with the new voyages, even with the Hunter's Call Emissary, because this would be a raid voyage that you could raid as a Hunter's Call and get the new teeth in the Kraken's Eye and things like that. I hope the feedback that they get from their partners, I hope the partners provided feedback, and in the player base in general is positive and strong. Consider putting these back in the game as a permanent option for players. I don't think we should elevate these to the same level as a world event per se, where it's on some sort of cycle. I think these were made perfectly to dive to execute, to have a little fun, have a little spice in your life as far as PvE can provide, get your loot, get your emissary grade, and get out. I think these are great and amazing, and it hurts me so much that Rare decided to make these limited. I get trying to hype up this, and I get trying to get players in for Season 15, but you guys hit a gold mine here as far as keeping the servers in the same state and adding something new and fun. And new and fun while keeping the servers, even though they're in a shit state, keeping them in that same state while you're still working to improve them, adding something new and fun. That's what we need to be doing. Like I said in the start, this is the Rare development I want to see. Out of box thinking. Reusing things that you already have to make something new, fresh, and exciting. We're going to talk in a little bit about commendations for Season 15, but one thing, if you've been listening to this show for a long time, that I've continually bitched about Rare for, is reutilizing old content, but not making it new. For example, I played, according to Rare, in year 1. I say that I played in year 2, but I'll just go off of what they say, and I played in year 1. We've done Reaper chests. I've done lots of Reaper chests. I've done more Reaper chests than I can count. But when they added the Chest of Fortune and the Reaper chest, get more, none of that old stuff that was past the original commendation counted. So I have to do it again. Even though it's the same shit that I had been doing, it wasn't portrayed and done in a new, fresh way. That is reutilizing content in a bad way. And that is what Rare has done for a long time and has gotten a lot of criticism from myself and many others from reusing leftovers, rotten, gross, players don't want to keep grinding the same shit that they've been doing, especially in the grind that they previously did. They went above and beyond and now are not getting credit for that time investment. This was utilizing old stuff, but making it new and interesting, right? There is a difference. It is a fine line, but making it new and interesting is the critical piece that made this great. And this was prior to season 15. So that was to get us hyped up. And let's be honest, the Rare PR communications team is not good at getting people hyped up, right? It's all about, yay, Sea of Thieves, woo, Sea of Thieves, hey, send your cool pictures in. Hey, look at this person, and woo, woo, woo. Hey, look what we had for dinner today at Rare Studio. It's garbage, right? It's just, they're, oh my God, their marketing team. I worked in one of my last roles with one of the best chief marketing officers that I have ever worked with in my 20 years in business. He was amazing. He was amazing at finding interesting and fun ways to excite customers, to excite people. He needs to go over to Rare and slap that team around, because the leadership team at Rare, I've already criticized enough. But I would say of all the folks over there, the worst team in that studio is their communications and PR team. They are just hot garbage. I almost, if I didn't do this show and I was just a fan of Sea of Thieves, I would literally unfollow them from all social media. And unless I saw a video that has McMurtry on the cover, I probably wouldn't watch it, because that man knows how to entertain. But the folks running the social media side, the folks running the Discord side, the folks running like the day-to-day communication, they're awful. They are just awful. It's all about unicorns and smiley faces and life at Rare and Sea of Thieves shot contests and daily posts about owls. Like, that's what it's about. And it's like, no, your game is in a shit situation. Maybe you should, I don't know, talk about what you're doing to fix it, except not just in dev updates. Like, maybe we should be discussing, showing pictures of the developers hard at work working on things, or play tests. Show some play tests. You don't have to show the content necessarily, but show people at Rare testing this new stuff, and like not laughing about ships flipping upside down or people waddling with chests and thinking you have created the greatest new feature that life in gaming has ever created. No, show us the hard work that's going on, because right now I'm curious what hard work is going on to fulfill the promises of making this game healthy. That's what I'm waiting on. Sure, we get these new content and we get this new stuff, and we're going to talk about how awesome Season 15's content is here in a moment. But I'm tired of the yay and the laughs and the giggles about goofy bugs and goofy shit. I'm tired of it. Okay, I can have the laughs with my crew. I don't need to be bombarded with just absolute dog shit on social media from these folks. Show me something impactful that shows me that the game that I'm financially helping by buying stuff in the Pirate Emporium, by paying my Xbox subscription, show me what that money is going to, because I'm not seeing it. Whew, we got off script there. See, I told the patrons, you wonderful people out there, I told you all that I'm trying a new approach this year with the podcast, trying to build scripts so that I don't get off topic. I know people like the rants, but sometimes I lose track of my mind and I miss things from my notes. So we're trying to build a little bit more scripting and a little bit more, I can get my points across, and then but whew, we got, like, if this screen was a teleprompter, the person running the teleprompter would be really pissed off at me right now. But that's how I roll. Season 15 has brought to the game a new emissary, and a trading company expansion which players have been asking for a long ass time. Our friendly seaside fishers, the Hunter's Call. From fishing voyages to new megs, and the expansion of the Hunter's Call at each outpost has finally given players new voyages and sea monsters to interact with, along with new commendations, rewards, reputation, progress, and monthly emissary. If anyone has listened to or watched my content for any amount of time, you will know that fishing is not something that I do. But I have many friends and community members who absolutely love the chill experience that the game offers. And the new fishing of voyages allows players to go on adventures with their bait boxes and poles and catch some new fish that will trade in for money equal to other treasures that you can do from other trading company voyages. However, I do have a piece of feedback on this. We can't just give them all the glorious credit because there is a drawback that I think they missed. And my only piece of feedback with this is the new fish are lifeless. And they don't feel real. After they leave the water and they're in your hand or on the deck of your ship, they're like boards. They don't move. They don't do anything. The Merchant Alliance, on the other hand, has many voyages and many trade routes for cloth, bottles, and plants. I know you've all done it. Or for animals. A key feature of these voyages are if the cloth gets wet, it degrades. If bottles get damaged, they become broken and degrade. If the plants aren't watered, they degrade. If you don't feed the pigs, they die. If the snakes poison the chickens, they die. This degradation made the Merchant Alliance, though annoying, their voyages felt real. It is true, back in the age of pirates, that the value of the goods that you stole you don't get the money for them if they're damaged or if they're covered in blood or whatever the case may be. If they are not in good condition, you're not getting pay. I feel that the fish, once they're out of the water and on your deck or in your hand, they should have a little life to them, a little movement. And the longer they sit on your deck out in the sun of the seas, they should begin to wither, die, and decay to the point where if they're out there too long, they turn into just bones. And though you will still get paid for them at a greatly reduced rate. I feel that this would take an extremely cool new feature, marry it with something already existing in the game with the Merchant Alliance degradation of goods and livestock and things like that, and make the new fishing experience feel more real. If you go out on a fishing boat today, you're not going to cast your nets in, fill your entire boat worth of fish, and just let them all die. You've got to get out there, catch your fish, and get them back so they're as fresh as possible, because that is how you're going to make the money. I really feel like this was a very, very missed opportunity from a feature that is already in the game. And just even if we didn't add the degradation, if the fish just kind of flopped around, or you saw a little like movement around where the gills were, or maybe their tail just goes up and down, this would add more life. And Sea of Thieves has mentioned multiple times, including we talked about in part 1, the lifelessness that they're trying to correct with more wildlife assets. We already went into that, but the lifelessness of this new fish voyage and fishing really, I think, was a miss when they're trying to make the world feel more alive. But you know who is not lifeless or devalued at all? That's the notorious and glorious patrons who support this podcast. So I want to send out a big thank you to if I can say words and names, Skamelt666, Lcute, iGeffus, Big Bad Pad, and Jamer Gamer. Thank you very much for continuing to throw your coin purses and pockets at me and supporting this show. If you are interested in joining this elite group of people and get some pretty fucking cool perks like holiday cards and, cool other things, go over to patreon.com/DavrimTV and check out all of the perk options starting as low as $1 per month. Now, we can't talk about cool new fish and the amazingness of Season 15 without discussing the new Baby Shark do-do-do-do-do, Baby Shark do-do-do-do-do. The baby sharks found under the waves, Red Maul and the barnacled Dread. Both of these Megs were beautifully designed on an art level and have added a challenge, which for a veteran player myself is a welcomed addition to the game. I've said for a long time the PvE content in this game is trivial, and I understand that Sea of Thieves does a great job of trying to make content that is accessible and usable for people of all ages and abilities, exceptionalities. But you can still do that and add challenge. And there hasn't been much challenge. Now, PvP, that's a challenge, both because there's some pretty damn good gunslingers out there, not me included, but the little server combat issues that are out there also fight against you. But in PvE, there hasn't been a challenge. Now, sometimes, the old Flameheart event, your supplies were dwindling and because you were hit by so many Wraith Balls and you're quite literally out of wood. I've never had that problem. Don't ask any of my exes. Now, let's dive into these Megs a little bit. I don't believe that both of these Megs were balanced properly or equally, but they both have a great theme and that they keep throughout the encounter. Let's start with the easier of the two Megs, and that would be the Barnacled Dread. First off, let's talk about the art. I absolutely love the design of the coral armor that you have to knock off throughout the fight. You blast the thing with cannons and your ammunition, your Eye of Reach, your blunderbuss. Yes, you can use a blunderbuss. If you successfully fend off the Meg from biting your boat, it will slowly move under your boat. And if you're quick, before you fire the cannon, because it's too close, because it's just under your boat, you can hit it with all 10 pellets of the blunderbuss, hop on the cannon, load it, and shoot once it's in range of the cannon. So you can get a little bonus damage in there, a little extra DPS for you MMO players out there. But I love the fact that this thing is an armored beast when you first encounter it, with beautiful bioluminescence coral all over this rocky shell that encases this big fish. The lightning bite she does that stuns you, though annoying, doesn't do catastrophic damage to your ship and is easy to recover from. I think to make this more equal to Red Maul, which we'll discuss in a moment, they should have added an additional damage component that if you are touching water anywhere near your boat or on your boat, you will take a significant chunk of damage. This would be more equal to Red Maul's fire and explosion effect that he does. The stun is definitely not the fire blast of Red Maul. But the other piece the Barnacled Dread has that Red Maul doesn't is, if you remember back to when a pirate's life launched. And the battle in the first tall tale between the Ferry of the Damned, which you are on, that you just rescued Jack Sparrow from, and the Flying Dutchman trying to get the nice little Tinkerbell holder that Jack has in possession. Throughout that battle, you are boarded by the newly created crustacean enemies. The big crabs, the little frogs, and the whippy chicks. This was the first time that we had PvE mobs boarding your ship, and a mechanic that was, let's be honest, has been abandoned since A Pirate's Life. With the introduction of the boner balls, we kind of get something like that, but it's player controlled, where the player is throwing that ball or shooting it out of a cannon to create PvE experiences on the boat, kind of like boarding. But as far as AI and the actual mobs boarding your boat, it was abandoned with A Pirate's Life, which was a really cool mechanic that I wish they would have continued to develop, and now they have. The Barnacle Dread now brings back that awesome mechanic as the lightning crustaceans board your boat and go full dominatrix on your ass. And your crew, while trying to repair from her bites and the stuns of her electricity, bail water, fight the beast. They are now being whipped in the ass by these chicks. I mean, for some people, this is like a wet dream, but there you go. I don't foresee Rare making the Barnacle Dread any harder. I enjoy the fight as it is, as she is and can be a challenge, not as much as Redmaw, which we'll talk about, but definitely more of a challenge than the normal Megs. I just wish there was a little bit more oomph to her to even her out to Redmaw. The stun is just, it's annoying and can be frustrating, but it's not as detrimental as the big fiery beast. Now, everyone has had that person in their life that gets so mad that you're concerned for your life. Apparently, Rare talked to my ex-fiance when they designed Redmaw because damn, that Meg smells like fish. Yeah. Serious low. The artwork again with this Meg is absolutely stunning, with the flames coming off the fins and the body, and the fiery mouth as it comes at you is just absolutely gorgeous. But what is most impressive, what is more impressive than the art style and the depression Redmaw causes me by thinking about my ex, is the encounter is hard. It is actually challenging. The Meg bites. There's fire everywhere. And on a galleon, that can spread pretty rapidly. As the bitch gets angry, she explodes, which for a galleon knocks down every mast if you're in range. Not to mention puncturing holes and damage to like the wheel, the capstan, things like that. Though I have yet to sink to Redmaw, there has been some very close calls. I fear that Rare is going to nerf this Meg. I don't think they'll touch Barnacle, but I believe they are going to nerf this Meg. And it really hurts me because I know they're probably getting complaints from average or below average players that Redmaw is just too challenging and has caused them to sink. But I strongly urge Rare to stand by their design choices here and to not cave to this feedback. Keep the encounter of Redmaw as it is. I believe it was designed to have a challenge in purpose. Us veteran players have been asking for a challenge in PvE, and though the more we fight it, the less of a challenge it's going to be, it is still more difficult than any other PvE experience out there. They have a history of nerfing things that shouldn't be nerfed. They've nerfed the Ashen Winds. They've nerfed all the Sea Forts. They've nerfed just about nearly everything in PvE in this game based on feedback and such like this. Please do not nerf this. And in fact, increase the challenge and pain of the Barnacle Dread to equal Red Maw, because you knocked it out of the park with Red Maw. This was truly a very well designed encounter that is punishing and rewarding. It's beautifully designed as an art form, and I just really hope that you keep it the same. Just fix the bugs that we'll talk about a little bit later. I have been critical of Rare for a long time for reusing commendations. I briefly touched on this in part 1 when we were discussing Reaper's Chest. They reused commendations or reused events to try to create additional grinds for the sake of grinds and to try to keep players playing the game to get the grind done. And they've done this time and time again. I used to say they're reusing old, moldy leftovers. No one wants to eat that shit, right? Come up with something new. I know Rare listens to this show. Hi, Mike. Hi, Joe. I know you guys listen. Thank you. Sorry that I'm so mean, but you know. But maybe finally they realized with their creative brain power combined like some force of Captain Planet, they don't need to reutilize these old commendations and grinds for the sake of grinds like they've done in the past, and they can create new and interesting grinds for the future. Season 15 brings us a bunch of new commendations which are unique. It doesn't add more fish grinding of the old fish. It doesn't ask you to kill old Megs 50 more times. It doesn't ask you to kill the white one anymore. They have new commendations focused to highlight the new content. Since I don't fish, I'm more focused on the Meg killing, though I have turned in a couple fish. Thank you to my crew for catching them, and also thank you to you wonderful fishers out there who catch a whole bunch on your boat and I sink you and take them. I really appreciate it because I don't use fishing poles. And that's just not for Sea of Thieves. There's only been one game in the history of me playing video games since the age of 13 that I've actually done fishing in, and that was New World. That was because I made a killing as a cook because no one else wanted to fish. Let's look at some of these Meg commendations, though. For Red Maw, yes, you do still have to kill Red Maw and the Barnacle Dread the traditional X amount of time. That's fine. It's a new event. Cool. And it's not overly crazy. I think it's like 10 times that you have to kill them. But let's look at the other ones. Splash Red Maw with a bucket of water. Hilarious. Throw a fire bomb at Red Maw to make it explode. Fuck yes. Damage the Barnacle Dread with a Disney stick. I don't know if the mouse will be too happy about that, shooting a fish and all, but you know what? I like it. The fact of the matter is these new commendations are goofy, they're silly, they're pointless in some regards, but it pertains to the new stuff. It pertains to beating the new beasts. It pertains to having fun in new and unique ways. You don't have to kill the Barnacle Dread with a Disney stick. You don't have to kill Red Maw with a firebomb. You just have to do it once. It is not a pointless, long, tedious grind of stupidity. It is just one little fun thing to get a check mark. The real grind is killing them X amount of times, which I think, again, it's 10. This should be the future of Sea of Thieves commendation creation. It should not go back to the days of, I've turned in 50 Reaper chests. Oh, but we're going to do a new thing where it's Reapers against Athena, so do 50 more. Oh, well, next season, do 50 more. Oh, well, next season, do 25 more. And each time you do that, you get new stuff. Fuck you. Okay? For the first several years of Sea of Thieves, I turned in all those Reaper chests. You have it in your player logs. Everything in this game is logged. I guarantee it. You've got it somewhere. Give me fucking credit for all the shit I turned in before adding all these new commendations. Okay? That is the old way. That is the old Rare. That is the old Sea of Thieves. Put it behind you. It was, you know what? Think of the Lion King. See everything out there? That is your horizon. The new accommodations, that is your kingdom. See that dark place over there? We don't talk about that. That is the old way. That is the old shitty moldy leftovers that you keep reusing just to make players grind for no apparent reason. It's not innovative. It's not fun. It's boring. It's shitty. Okay? Stick to the new way because it's brilliant. Whoever on the Rare staff suggested and helped create these new commendations should be in charge of all future commendations of this game. They're on point, they're fun, they're quirky, they're goofy, and they're not grinding for the sake of grinding forever. They have a good story to tell. Throw a firebomb, boop. The boop the snoot with a Disney stick. Great. Now you're all out there probably saying, what the hell is going on? For the past 30 minutes, Davram has been praising Rare's new season. Is he trying to get the job as part of the new QA player team with his effective brown nosing? Is that what you're asking? Hell no. Although if you do want to offer me the lead on that team, I'll take it, but just be prepared. It's going to get spicy, but we're going to make this game great. I felt like after destroying Rare in the part 1, I'd take some time to give them where credit is due for the good things that they did for this season, and there's a lot of them. If you thought this episode, however, would not have any trash talk in them, well, strap in. Because it's time to get spicy. With the amazing new content added in Season 15 that we discussed, and a lot more I'm guessing is coming, and the enjoyment I have interacting with it, bugs, exploits, and server stability has put some nasty, nasty taste in my mouth. It kind of tastes like fish. But God, I haven't seen her in years. Dunno. Speaking of a cheating ex, the Megs cheat. In 2 separate occasions on 2 different servers, while fighting the new Megs on a galleon, during the Meg bite, she has shot the ship, tumbling into the air and landing upside down in the water. The game does not correct the ship, and we were stuck belly to the sky and sails pointing into the depths. After a little bit of time, our ship despawned and we sunk. Now, I've seen many social media posts from the garbage PR and communication team. I've seen many comments, giggles, laughing on podcasts and videos from Rare. At these exact goofy instances. But as a player, this isn't funny. As a player, this is extremely frustrating. There are plenty of ways to have fun and hilarious, goofy, silly, and comical moments inside of this game while playing it properly and bug-free. These bugs can wipe out hours of playtime. A grade 5 flag, treasure on your ship, and then you get a bad spawn point and it's all gone. I understand that the Meg bite is supposed to be a vicious and devastating attack on your ship to really jar and move your ship in the water. But the fact that their code allows a bite to tumble your ship into the air, flip it upside down in an uncorrectable situation is just bad design. It is bad physics engine. It is bad design. If a ship gets flipped over, it should auto-correct itself in the code. It should be able to tumble itself back up. every single time without question. The first time, I was annoyed when this happened. We didn't lose the loot. We got back because we had a close spawn point. We killed the Meg. It was all good. The second time, however, we got a ridiculous spawn point all the way on the other side of the map with the wind completely against us. This was enough. I was done. I was completely done. Hours of loot that just sunk. A Meg that I don't know, probably almost had killed. Our grade 5 flag gone, and it had nothing to do with anything we had done wrong. It was literally the game saying, fuck you. So what did I do? I said, fuck you to the game. I just logged off. My time and all players' time is valuable. And if Rare finds these situations hilarious and pulls up and talks about them or shows little clips of them on their social media or pictures of them on social media and spends time laughing on their podcast about these goofy moments that are hilarious, and they don't instead fix the situations, you are wasting my time. You are not respecting me and my time as a player. And I'm not going to waste my time playing your game. I'll come back. I love this game. But they really need to get their public-facing side correct. I do not respect any of the Rare staff that I have heard talk about or post about these goofy situations, and they laugh at them. Oh, only in Sea of Thieves can a ship be shot up in the air and flipped upside down. Oh, that's hilarious. You just wasted a player's time because of your shit programming, and it needs to stop. You need to respect your players, because I hate to tell you, if you look at the statistics, you're losing them, and you have been for a long time. Rare has an endless history of combat challenges. We all know this. I've now started referring to it as historic weapon accuracy because we know hit registration in combat's never going to be fixed in this game because it's 7 years old and they still haven't figured the fucker out. I still feel that they should have fixed combat. They should have fixed their weapon balancing, and they should have got combat in a playable place, consistent playable place, before introducing any new weapons. But it's Rare. Fuck the players, we do what we want. That should be their motto. Fuck the players, we do what we want. The current bug that has yet to be addressed at all is the harpoon gun. When a player attempts to harpoon the ladder of a ship or the side of the ship and then grab the ladder quickly, a pirate will grab the ladder as seen by other players, but the player in control does not see the ladder. They are actually trapped in a bundle of rocks out at sea, unable to move and unable to play until knocked off the ladder or killed. No, this is not a consistent and reproducible bug that happens every single time. So it's hard to track down, I understand. But the fact that it even exists, that you're somehow, as the player, teleported into a bundle of rocks instead of where you actually are that other players can see you, is absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And if anyone says, oh, this doesn't exist, bullshit, you could go back and probably, I'm going to guess, you could probably check out some clips from Boxy Fresh's stream where this has happened to him multiple times. I've witnessed it. How about that blunderbuss? Huh? How about that blunderbuss, double gunners? How about it? How about it? This gun has been a weapon of constant debate. I've talked about it. People have raged about it. People love it. People hate it. The major change that happened with this gun recently is removing its one-shot kill ability and adding and adjusting the knockback that it delivers. As I stated before, Rare needs to balance and fix weapons before introducing new ones. the knockback on the blunderbuss is, quite frankly, ridiculous. They said they wanted the blunderbuss to be not an offensive weapon, but a defensive weapon against the sword, M1 spammers. And to get that needed distance to heal or counterattack was the purpose of the blunderbuss, thus removing the one shot and adjusting that knockback. But the knockback is out of control. The one shot potential of this gun was removed, and now it is literally a hand cannon that shoots players so far away at times. It's just dumb. Let's talk about a defensive weapon. With the harpoon gun and boarding and all that stuff, it's hard enough for players to defend the average player, let alone the below average player, let alone the solo slooper, to defend their ship against a more skilled opponent. The blunderbuss was supposed to be that saving grace. Though you didn't have the one-shot potential, you had the ability as the player climbed the ladder or harpooned to your ship and was jumping around to just barely tap them or tap them a little bit with the blunderbuss and knock them off their ship so you could defend yours and fight or get away. Now it is being used as the opposite. The higher skilled boarder gets on board and it is impossible for you to get back on board your ship because the blunderbuss is so oppressive in its knockback. I believe thoroughly that removing the one-shot power of this gun and adjusting the knockback was the proper change. However, more balance and tweaking has been and is still needed to this weapon to not shoot you away like firing yourself out of a cannon. I really wish Rare would put more focus on fixing combat instead of announcing new pointy stick weapons that are coming to the game in Season 15, which I'm sure will add a whole new level of bullshit to the already broken weapon system. Lastly, but definitely the most important issue. We've talked about it. Server stability. Prior to the launch of Season 15, Drew has mentioned multiple times that server stability is one of their priorities in the game. In the development update that we talked about in part 1, we discussed the multi-threading technology that they were excited to show players and how it improves the game performance. Unfortunately, Season 15 launched with unhealthy servers, plagued with lag and rubber banding, even after being promised this new multi-threading technology being put into place by Rare. The servers really took a beating with 2 emergency maintenances to fix issues like exploits, server crashing, and not getting rewards. But unfortunately, on the other side of both of these emergency maintenances, the grass was definitely not greener. As of my last play session, regardless of how many dives I did, logouts, new servers I was on, the servers at times, most of the time, were nearly unplayable. My character was jerking around and stuttering. The rubber banding was just unbearable, to the point where I would literally see my character eat the pineapple, it would go in half, no health would be rejuvenated, I'd pull the pineapple back out and it was full. It is very frustrating as a player, hearing "we are aware and we are working on it" over and over and over again. And hearing "we're doing this and new technology that," yet it isn't improving. Now, they may see things on their side which say they're improving, but you can say that you instead of your shitty grade F beef, you are using new Wagyu, amazing, top of the line, most expensive burger. But once it is cooked and I put it in my mouth, if it still tastes like a dog turd, it's still shit. It doesn't matter what your graphs and your things say. If as a player, I'm still experiencing shitty server performance, you have not done anything. And I can say that I am firmly in the belief that they are doing a lot of things. I would be shocked if they haven't put a lot of fixes in there, and they're working diligently to get the servers fixed. But at the end of the day, if I played in season 14 and the servers now feel just as bad, in my mind, you did nothing. It still tastes like shit. You went from grade F meat to grade C meat, but when I eat it, it still makes me vomit, which means you didn't do anything. I disagree with some of the social media posts about Sea of Thieves being a dead game. We saw it on Reddit. We've seen it on Facebook recently. I know I said I'm not on those platforms, but I have folks who, well, I'm on Reddit still, but I have folks who tell me about these things and send me like snippets because I refuse to get on those platforms anymore. The past few weeks of sailing proves to me that the game is not dead. It's struggling, but it's not dead. In season 14, I felt like I was sailing around in an empty sea. Rarely in 4 or 5 hour sessions would see a single ship. In the past 2 play sessions, I've ran into so many ships and more players than I ever saw throughout my entire playtime in season 14. But the play experience due to the server is enough to make me only play for a few hours a week. I love the new content in season 15, and it absolutely kills me that I'm not playing this game every single day. Instead, I'm playing Diablo and Pantheon and some other games, and it kills me that I'm not wanting to play this game every single day because I love the new megs. I love them. I absolutely love the Hunter's Call thing, even though I don't fish, and that's a big portion of it. I love the new things to turn in. I love the new stuff. But where their servers are, it's not because I have the lack of time. It's because the few hours that I have, I am not going to spend playing on their fucking trash servers. I'm frustrated and I'm tired of it. With the comments we had in, not YouTube comments or anything like that, but with the statements that we had from Drew about blaming players, and I mentioned this in part 1 around the settings of frame rates. I said that when developing companies have complete control over code and they fail to do things and they blame players for it, that's when things start to unravel and they start to fall apart. I now firmly believe that Rare is in a very weird spot right now. They know they are struggling, but they have so many ideas they don't want to let go, to focus on the core and important things to make their game last and players love it. They've had leadership changes at the studio, but the direction to me is a confusing one. We hear one thing from Drew in his dev updates, and we see the vomit-inducing community team's positive garbage posts on social media. But then when you play the game, it is such a frustrating experience. Absolute garbage server performance due to foundational parts of the game just not working, like combat and server stability. How can you have someone who is helping to lead this company forward in Drew talk about all the things they're wanting to do, yet we're still suffering? How can your community team posting on social media, haha, the ship flipped up down, haha, Waddley's chests, haha this, haha that, oh, let's highlight this person, oh, let's highlight this person, all this positive unicorns, when their game is fundamentally, foundationally cracked and broken? It is so confusing. Are we going to fix it? Or are we just going to say we're going to fix it? Are we going to truly hire a good player-based QA team with strong voices that is like they have the hours in the game and they're just not a boys and girls club? Or are you going to handpick people that are your friends and people you get along with that you know won't make waves? Right now, what Rare needs, what Sea of Thieves needs, is they need my ex-girlfriend. They need Red Maw to bite the fuck out of their galleon, flip it up in the air, and flip it upside down in the water. That's what they need right now. Because what they've done for the past 7 years is not fucking working. They are making small strides with new commendations, with the Raid Fortress voyages, with the new Megs, with the Hunter's Call expansion. They're making some really cool small things. But the foundation of the game is still crumbling, it's still cracking, and it's still falling apart. But by God, the social media team's gonna giggle about waddling chests. Like, seriously, folks, what the fuck are you doing with your lives? Seriously. Well, that's going to do it for part 2 and the final part of Season 15's review. I'd like to hear from you guys in Discord or shoot me an email. How did you like the new way we're doing these podcasts with some more script, aside from just me ranting and going on? A little bit more script, a little bit more quotes, a little bit more structure to it. I've struggled with it because I'm not used to reading off of a script in parts and then ad-libbing and trying to figure out where the fuck I am in the script, but I'll get better at it. I like how I was able to formulate my thoughts and formulate things a little bit more clearer than just when I go off and then lose track of things. So let me know. I told the patrons ahead of time that part 1 and part 2 will be under this new format. So they've already probably at this point given me their feedback, but I would like to know from the general audience what your feedback is. Remember, if you want to get into Discord with anyone can get into Discord, but you want to get into the private patron chat, or there is actually in Patreon itself a chat with just the patrons that I check throughout the week. If you want to chat, provide feedback, go over to patreon.com/DavramTV, subscribe to one of the tiers starting as low as $1 a month. Promise that's the last ad read I'll do for that. But you can also find me on Blue Sky at Davram. Don't look me up on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, or Facebook. There are profiles there for me. I am not looking at them. I am not using them. Fuck Mark Zuckerberg. Fuck Elon Musk. And especially fuck Jeff Bezos. Unless you want to give me a Prime sub on Twitch, then I'll take your Bezo bucks. You can join the Discord. The links are in the show notes. You can also check out my new Substack, repeatinghistory.substack.com. And on this, I will be talking about current events along with some nice essays about history. So if you like history, you want to learn more about history, you want to learn about current events from my perspective, go check out repeatinghistory.substack.com. Also, make sure you're following me on twitch.tv/Davram. We do stream Sea of Thieves on most Saturdays, and hopefully I will be able to get back into some streaming, some Diablo, some Pantheon. I know most of you are Sea of Thieves fans, obviously, but until the servers get better, you're not going to see me streaming Sea of Thieves more than just Saturday. Also, please feel free to email the show, piratetalkradiopodcast@gmail.com. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this new format, part 1 and part 2. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you next time on Pirate Talk Radio.